Hey, if your drives have been looking like this lately, or even worse, like this, ooh, that's rough. And when you walk to the first tee not knowing which of those shots is gonna happen today, it makes planning your way around the course just impossible. Now, some of the greats, even in the Hall of Fame, had a little bit of this move, but as long as your worst block or push keeps you inside the tree line on the right, and your worst duck hook or smother hook keeps you inside the tree line on the left, then at least you can play some decent golf. All right, let's get into the root cause for both of these shots. Now, while they seem like opposites, they're really brother-sister, and they come from the same parent, and that is not being able to keep this rump back, forward bow through the impact zone. So even if you're in good shape at the top of the swing here, if you don't maintain this hip flexion with the butt at the same depth behind you, and you go on through the ball looking more like this, you can see there's a lot of rotation built in here as I've kind of maintained that hip angle. The more you come out of that, which usually happens when you shift your weight of your pelvis to, let's say, 1 o'clock. So if your target, you could say, was 12 o'clock, if you shift your weight towards 1 o'clock, like this. See, a lot of stuff has happened here that you might be familiar with. My heel has come way up off the ground and my knee has pushed towards the ball quite a bit. The weight in my left foot is now in my instep. Of course, I've gotten very tall. This is because as my pelvis pushes towards the ball on a vector to 1 o'clock, I can't stay bent over because I'll go right over my toes. But if you take that telltale step, it's another good way to trace what you're doing. So now I'm very tall. And I haven't rotated very much. Notice how my chest is still kind of, you're looking at the side of my body here. So if that's something that you see with yourself from this angle on video, that you kind of don't see a lot of rotation and a lot of tallness, then it's a good chance that you're in this pattern. Now, what's going to follow with the club responding to the angles of the body, put myself back in that position again. This club is now going to approach the ball more like this with the shaft very tall and ahead, and the face, not only is the path probably a little too far inside out, it's really the path and the face are both pointing to the right. This is going to lead you to your push, or even worse, a ball that starts to the right and then slices even further. Those are the ones that really drive you nuts. And so what do you do instead to start avoiding this shot? You're going to start to roll the toe over. If you don't have this mechanism to square the face, where I'm making the handle of the club arc, and that causes the club head to kick and catch up with the handle and get square this way, which is, I think, the best way to do it. But if you're approaching the ball like this, you can see the club face is wide open here, and I'm going to have to use the spinning of the shaft, rotating of the shaft, close that toe. Now you look like this through the impact zone. This would be like being in New York City and you see a revolving door outside of Macy's that you want to go into Macy's and go shopping, except that thing is moving 200 miles an hour. Well, you're going to have to line up and you're going to have to time it. And and there's a good chance that if you don't time it perfectly, you're going to break your nose, or it's going to hit you right in the rump, and you might not exit correctly either. You might get stuck in that thing and just be dragged at 200 miles an hour. In other words, trying to time this. Some days you'll get lucky and you'll do it, but most of the time, especially under pressure, too much of that becomes just impossible to time. And then sometimes you'll be, this is normally the face open and the push, that's the most likely scenario. But the destructive is when you finally get used to that shot and start to play for it, and then you start to duck hook it, and then you're really out of it. Okay, here's a general idea of what you want the hand path to do. You want it on a steady curve all the way around your body. Notice that the curve peaks right about my right thigh. It's not in the center like you might expect it to be, but it's back here is when the handle of the club really should start turning into left field. But it becomes impossible to do that if I take my weight and I shift it to 1 o'clock. You see, I start encroaching, I start closing the gap, Let's watch that again. 1 o'clock shift. My knee has almost come into the noodle. There's very little room to first clear my right knee and thigh, and that's what pushes the club out in the first place. And even if you tried to recover from here, the recovery is going to be too late to get that ball going consistently straight down the fairway. The curve back to the left just will happen a couple frames too late. And then you can see over here on my left side, my left thigh is now completely occupying the space where the handle needs to go. So I've got nothing, no solutions here except to lose some of the curve. And now the handle of the club is kind of heading out more rightwards for a long period of time. Again, you might recover, but you haven't recovered in time for impact. And so you could work on this and that kind of solution, but it's not going to get you anything until you fix the root cause. Now watch how neatly the club can follow my body. If instead of to 1 o'clock, I start to shift my pelvis more towards 11:30 or so. Rump back, keep the bow. Now, the space is wide open for my arms to cruise around the corner, cause that club to whip around and square up, so I don't have to play with the twist of the shaft anymore to hit the ball straight. So the solution to this is going to be to work on keeping the rump back and keeping the forward bow, while training yourself to make the handle of the club continue to arc around you and exit around to the left. Start with a short iron. You can practice at home with a chair behind you or a wall behind you if you need to develop some feels for this, but just small swings first, both keeping the butt back and exiting around to the left. Now do this slow so you can get the feels for it. I wouldn't recommend trying this or drilling this with the driver until you get pretty good at it with a short iron first. Driver is going to be a tough project to completely fix this. The same thing here. We're going to keep the forward bow throughout the swing and make the club handle arc around you in a curve. So there's just so many even better golfers that fit into this pattern of blocking and hooking. The solution is generally pretty universal. Just do what I've shown you in this video. Improve the posture, get the handle of the club working around to the left, and you're going to get that extra squaring kick into the head of the club. It's going to help you hit a ton more fairways and greens. So give it a try. Let me know your results down in the comments, or if you have any questions about it. Thanks so much for watching all the way through the video. Hit the like button if you got some value out of this. Subscribe if you haven't already done so. Check out my website, hititlonger.com. You can get personalized coaching there, and I'd be happy to help you take your golf swing to the next level. If you'd like to book a live in-person lesson, email me at this address and we can work that out too. So hey, if I don't see you in the next video, I hope I see you longer and straighter down the fairway. Everybody take good care.